Hey folks, thanks for joining us. We are also going to be talking about a very tricky little subject which has got a lot of myths based around it, and in my opinion and from what I have experienced and heard over the last 15 years, it's a myth. Will a dog bark collar burn my dog's skin? The people who experience that obviously are quite distraught about the condition of their dog, but there are reasons why it happens, and we'll go through some of the reasons and what's actually going on with pressure necrosis, and we'll also go through the ways to avoid it so that you'll never have that sort of issue with your dog, and some techniques to check it out. The thing with the pressure necrosis is not actually something that the collar has done. It can quite easily be avoided. What I was mentioning before is that no one's ever put a bark collar on their dog because they think the dog is going to look good in a bark collar. What they've done is actually called us because they've tried everything else, and they've called us because they have no more options left but to try some sort of bark collar. Quite often, they've actually tried other versions like ultrasonic, citronella and vibration. We'll get into those in other episodes, but we're talking about the electric bark collars and will they burn a dog's skin. Now, getting back to the bark collars, what happens with a dog collar? There's something called a pressure necrosis. Now, what happens with that? The word necrosis, basically necro means dead, and osis is a condition or a state, and when it comes down to a definition, necrosis means the death of most or all of the cells in an organism or tissue. So it's either due to disease, injury or failure of blood supply. Whenever I've had someone call me up and I've talked to a vet about what's actually appearing on the dog's skin, I could hold up pictures of some pretty nasty stuff, which is often what gets bandied around the internet. Hold up a picture of some really nasty stuff where a dog's actually got holes in his dog neck and infections everywhere, but it's actually nothing to do with the collar. If you get your wristwatch and you tighten it up 2 points on your wrist, I guarantee you that if you don't take that off and check it and make sure it's comfortable, over a period of a couple of days, it'll start to get rubbing sores around your wristwatch. That's the same as what happens with any sort of dog collar. They have to wear a collar which has probes on it to give a contact with the skin. So we're solving problems like stopping neighbourhood complaints because dogs are barking. Now you can hire these from us, we do have certain models available for hire, but what happens with these collars, they produce a static pulse. It's not actually got a lot of what you call amperage and going through the body like an electric fence. You touch the fence and then the current goes through the body and out your feet. What happens with this is a localized pins and needle sensation, exactly the same as a TENS machine that a physiotherapist would put on your arm to make the muscle stimulate. Now, when that sort of thing happens, if you're getting a good quality collar, you don't have to have them up very tight, and that in itself avoids the possibility of the sores developing on the skin. I will show you something now. This is a bark collar that we sell and we rent out. It's a very good quality one. It will go off if the dog barks, so that it picks up the vibration from the vocal cords and it gives the dog a little static pulse. Okay, now this one increases gradually. Each time the dog activates the collar, it will get a little higher. Each of our collars, our units, and I'll show you this, they have what's called a safety cutout feature. With this particular model, if the collar is activated 15 times, it will shut down. Now, I'm not going to keep doing that, but what I will do this enough times to produce enough energy, so you can see that in that light, and I'll do it on the other collar as well, so that you can, and I'll hold it up to my cheek to see if there is actually any heat on the probe, so that gets rid of the myth about it's a burn. Now, when we have had people contact us, and it does happen, our first question to them is, when was the last time what did you notice? And quite often, like 99.2% of the time, they actually don't notice it until they have a smell around the dog and they wonder what the smell is. Now, what's been going on is they haven't checked the collar every day. They've left the collar on the dog and there has been a rubbing sore appear, and the infection gets into the... now, no dog is going to get to this level. They will stop barking if they're trained correctly. Now, that's shut down. So that's a safety cutout feature on every one of our products because they're good quality. Now, if I put that up against my skin, there's no heat. That's a cold surface. and so there's no heat being produced, so it's not burning. What's happening is there's a rubbing sore going on. People are not checking the skin, and when they do check the skin, they find that the collar may even have got a very big sore, and it looks like it's actually dead skin or even burn. But the key is, quite often when, as I mentioned, it's a funny smell around the dog that gives them that indication. So what they have to do then is go down to the vet and get antiseptic and focus on making sure it heals. So what are 5 things you can do to avoid any sort of pressure necrosis or on the dog's skin? The thing to remember is when you fit the collar, make sure you get one that doesn't need to be done up very tight. Whilst the collar is very sensitive, it doesn't need to be done up very tight. Check them every day and every night and take them off for an hour or so, and also move them around to different locations. Now, the other things you can do is do not tie your dog up to the collar, because that might pull the probes into the skin. The only other thing to note that is it could be an allergy to the nickel in the probes. Now, good quality stainless steel will avoid that, and you can, or if it does keep occurring, you can do that. Now, once you have a bacteria on your dog's skin and it's overpopulated because you've had a problem, you might have to look at getting some sort of antiseptic wash to keep the skin hygienic when you're washing your dog. And also, you can clean the collars. You can take the probes and straps apart, and you can clean them and make sure they're not causing any irritation. If you want more information about bark collars, radio dog fences, and remote dog training collars and how they're used, then give us a call. We can go through some quality products that will help you avoid any of these nasty sort of incidences that occur with dogs. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon. Bye.